Hello there, Coach Joe from Team Bright Hammer here again. Thank you so much for the responses I've had for the question and answer shows so far, and thank you for the questions that keep coming in that are allowing me to make these shows. This is my third one, and I've got a couple of really good questions that I want to answer today because I thought they were really good and a little bit different. So, without further ado, let's have a look at these. So, question one. Leah from Stevenage. Hi Leah. I do a lot of weight training and can do about 6 straight pull-ups on my own, but suck at monkey bars, especially the scaffolding pole ones. What can I do to help me beat the obstacle? So, I think first of all, like being able to do 6 straight strict pull-ups, whether you're a guy or a girl, is great. That's going to give you the sort of strength that you need to do monkey bars. So I think if you're that strong and you can do that, it's not going to be an upper body strength issue so much. It could be grip or it could be technique that is going to be the limiting factor in completing monkey bars that have those thicker scaffolding pole bars. Okay, those are a pain, I think, and a lot of people come a cropper on them more than you'd realise. I think, especially when they're wet and muddy, and I think it's all about having the right technique on it first of all. So I think, generally speaking, any forward-facing technique where you're facing the bar, both hands forward, is going to be a little bit harder because all of your weight is going to be coming from behind the bar, and there's going to be a tendency to want to slip off like that. It's a bit harder to use the thumbs and wrap them around and get a good grip when you're using those scaffolding pole type bars as well. So the one that I usually suggest for people to try is the side facing method of traversing the monkey bars, and then what that allows you to do is make sure that your palms are always facing, and if you can, make sure that there's at least one bar in between the 2 bars you're holding. You get a little bit of a rock going, and then your backhand wants to be the one that moves first. As soon as it grabs hold of the bar that you're reaching for, then use that forward momentum that's taken you along the bars to reach forward with your front hand, grab it, and then use that momentum to let go and grab the next bar with your backhand. So it's always going to be sort of like palms are always facing forward, and then it's always backhand goes first, front hand goes next. Okay. The reason I say keep a space between the bars that you're grabbing is if you've got a little bit of space, so your arms are at shoulder width, basically you'll be able to use more momentum as you're swinging through the bars. The other thing is, if you grab the same bar that you're already holding, unless you use your momentum and grab the next bar straight away, what you're going to find is, and this happens sometimes if people are a little bit underconfident on their grip, or they take a little bit longer to go through the monkey bars, is their body will start to spin because you're holding the same bar like that, and then your momentum's got nowhere to go, and you're going to end up losing your momentum, and it's going to be harder to grab onto the next bar. So it's only okay to grab the same bar you're already holding if you then reach off with your front hand as soon as that backhand is on, so you use that momentum to get you through. I think that's a really good technique for getting to grips with the thicker scaffolding pole style monkey bars. The thing you can do in training that I think is quite good for improving yourself on the scaffolding pole bars, if you wait 1 second I'll get them, is to get some fat grips. Now 1 second. These are fat grips. It's a polyurethane grip training tool. It will go on any barbell. You can put it on a pull-up bar, and you can put it on a kettlebell. Basically, if it's pole shaped, it will go on it. Okay, guys, don't get any ideas. And basically you see that that's a little bit thicker than a normal monkey bar, but also once it's on a bar it will be slightly bigger, especially if you put it on like a competition kettlebell or something. It will expand out, and that will get you used to gripping a scaffold type pole, so your grip is more experienced with handling that sort of like more girthier pole, and then basically you can either put them on a pull-up bar and practice hanging, and maybe even using a little bit of kipping. If you read my grip strength article that just came out, I will put a link to it in the notes. Then you'll see that actually, like, I think kipping is okay as a grip training tool, and you can do a little bit of kipping with a fat grip as well, just to get used to that feeling of what happens when momentum meets sort of a moving load and you having to grab onto something. You can then use these fat grips on for deadlifts, which is quite good, for doing farmers walks with kettlebells, you name it. If you can put it on there, you can use it as a grip training tool, which is quite good. So I would invest in a set of fat grips, because they're great tools to have around. You know, you can put them in your kit bag, take them anywhere if you want to do a little bit of extra grip training. But you know, they're not that expensive either. You know, and they might save you a few burpees if you drop off of monkey bars in the Spartan race. And hopefully the combination of getting the right technique and having your grip strength a little bit stronger, and you know, used to using bars that are either thin or thick, is going to help you get through the monkey bars that you find in a lot of races, the scaffold pole one. So I hope that answers your question. I've got another question here. Let me just get my phone so I can read it off the screen here. This one is from Aaron from Sweden. Hi Aaron. Aaron races for Team Brighthammer in Sweden. He's a great guy. He's not actually Swedish. I thought he was when he was first signing up for the team, but when I spoke to him on Skype, I found that he actually has a northern accent and he's from Bolton. So yeah, I think it's Bolton. I'll probably get in trouble if I get that wrong, but yeah, lovely guy, and he's got a great question here. Okay Aaron, here we go. Hey bro, so I have a question for you to answer via YouTube. Not seen them yet, but planning on playing catch up soon. Thanks man. I think we discussed this before when I saw you firsthand in Edinburgh and I was starting there. So it's in regards to start of races. It's not that he doesn't like the start of races, but he says they always start faster than I'm comfortable with. In Edinburgh this wasn't much of a problem. That was at the European Championships, the Spartan ones. Because it seemed like a long race, so people were starting off at sort of like a more sort of sedate pace. I was very confident that it wouldn't matter so much because of the distance. The problem comes in toughest races. You look at any of the toughest maps and you'll instantly know what I mean, because they are short and so obstacle dense. Those first couple of obstacles are fairly vital. This weekend in Oslo, I was told the first kilometre was uphill and I took it easy, but by the time I came to the first major obstacle, the swing walk, which is nunchucks and ropes for the fast lane, there was already a queue. It's not the end of the world because I can get a quick rest, but those few seconds in the start of the race really give the guys who get there first a good advantage. So I want to go out fast enough to be one of the first on those obstacles without having to wait around too much, without completely jacking up my heart rate beyond recovery. It happens because I'm a slow starter. By the end of the race, I'm just reeling people in because I had got into my flow, hence why I think I do better in longer races. So, the short of it is, Aaron is not comfortable with like a fast start in a race. You know, like you see it in any elite heat, they start quick. I mean, really quick. They go for it. And Aaron's style is a little bit more. He sits back a little, and then he sort of has a great pace that he can maintain, and then just reel people in and overtake them as the race progresses. And he's very strong on obstacles as well, so he's overtaking people on obstacles. I know this firsthand from seeing him do it. So my answer to that, and this is something that comes in training, if you're not comfortable with how quick the race starts, then maybe that's a training thing. And one of the things that I say for training is that In order to get used to that fast-paced race start that you get, in Spartans, in other things, anything with an elite heat, you need to, in training, every now and then, and maybe definitely in the 4 or 5 weeks run up to a race, is start that first kilometre trying to make it the fastest kilometre you do, set out and just absolutely smash it. Start fast and then sort of get into a more relaxed pace. The reason I say this is because get used to starting very quickly, but also one thing that I try and drum into people's heads a little bit is that a lot of the time the race is to the first obstacle. Okay, so what I mean by that is that you want to be one of the first people to get to an obstacle, because that first obstacle is usually going to be something that thins people out, and then it's going to sort of let the front runners break away from the rest of the pack. And this could actually be an actual obstacle, or it could be the terrain. So for example, a great one example of this was probably Olympic Park Spartan race at the beginning of the season. The monkey bars came on quite quick, followed by a bucket carry, and that thinned out the crowd very quickly. Also another one, Dirty Dozen Wales, the start line was there, and then it was an absolute mother hubbard of a hill going up that thinned out people very quickly, so the very competitive people will get away quickly up the hill, and it thins everyone out. So I usually say that from a competitive standpoint, the best thing to do is to be used to, in that run up to a race, is starting off extremely quickly. Okay, your race is a short one, for example, you're just trying to get to that first obstacle, get it done, and then set off into your natural pace. Okay, and then you may be trying to keep pace with someone, or if you're a little bit ahead, you might just be trying to maintain. So that's one way of doing it, is just get used to it in training. The other way is you can actually sort of take that slower start, and this probably works for a longer race where you've got longer to the first obstacle perhaps, or if you're at the front of the pack anyway, is to do a negative split. So where you're trying to run the first half of the race at a sort of a sort of maintenance sort of pace, and then trying to finish the race, the second half, quicker than you did the first. That's a little bit harder to do in a race situation, obviously, because you're trying to get to that first obstacle and trying to sort of beat the pack. But that can be a useful technique for your longevity for a race anyway. So you can get used to sort of trying to finish the second part of your run quick, in order to make sure that if you're getting to that point in a race where you need to maybe pick up a little bit of speed, you can do it. So if you combine both of those things, you kind of might have a surefire strategy for getting through a race competitively. So get to the first obstacle as quick as you can. Get used to doing that in training, running as quickly as you can for that first kilometre at a very competitive pace. Then maintain for a little bit until you get roughly halfway through the race. What you might think is halfway through, maybe looking at your Garmin, or from what marshals tell you as you're screaming past them at high speed, and then try and pick it up again. So you've got a very hard burst, followed by maintenance / recovery, followed by a sort of another burst to get you through the end of the race. That always isn't going to work in a race situation, but it's a good start. And I think the important thing is to have a strategy, and mimic that strategy in your training. That is what's going to get you through. That's what's going to make you prepared, I think, for those situations where you start quick. But just to recap and to make it nice and short, get used to running the beginning of the race very quick, and quicker than you intend to when you set out. I since I started using a Garmin in races, really noticed how when you set off and you start running and you get your beep for the first kilometre, you look down and you probably ran it a lot quicker than you intended to. So just get used to it, because race day, when adrenaline kicks in, you're hyped up, you want to do well, and you see all of these other people running at what you think is a normal pace, but they're going a lot quicker, and you're trying to keep up with them. Get used to setting off a lot quicker than you used to. So that's the 2 questions I'm answering today. I hope you found it informative and useful. If you could be so kind, like this post if you like it, and subscribe if you want to hear more. I'm going to include some notes on what I spoke about earlier in the description of the video. And if you have a question, I'll leave the email address in there for you as well, so you can fire one across. I'll be happy to help you out. So thanks very much for watching. Have a good day. Happy racing.